We welcome you back to Pleasant Grove Sports Network here in Olympus at Olympus High School. Alan Judson, Zane Grothy coming to you from the top of the bleachers here. Pleasant Grove Skyline 6A, 5A matchup here. Pleasant Grove comes into today with a record of 4-6. They're 0-1 at neutral site games. Skyline 6-4 overall. Very successful away from home, 3-1 at these neutral site contests. Vikings with first-year head coach Carson Williams playing in this tournament for the second consecutive season. Zane, what have these Vikings shown you throughout the first 10 games of this season going into game number 11?
They've shown a lot. I mean, obviously, towards the start of the season, struggling quite a bit. Honestly, not being able to perform as much. We saw first games, we don't play the best in the first half. We come out, and then we come out in the second half. But don't know what's said in that locker room, but obviously something said to the Pleasant Grove Vikings where they come out and they ball. They play so good. And towards the last four games, they've, instead of just playing that bad the first half, playing good the second half, they've played amazing both halves, and it's been way more effective for PG.
This game, a rematch from this same tournament last season. We'll get to that later in today's game. The Vikings won that matchup 56-48. In that game, Skyline 2 for 13 from beyond the arc. That's what killed the Eagles in last year's matchup. They'll try to improve upon that mark. The difference this year is Pleasant Grove has nearly a whole new squad, starting 3 members of last year's team who even appeared in the game. Skyline, on the other hand, has 3 full-year starters that played in last night's game, 5 players who still get consistent minutes for this Eagles squad who played against Pleasant Grove last season. But the regime all different for Pleasant Grove with head coach Carson Williams. It'll be Jackson Brown taking the tip for the Vikings. Cameron Wilson taking the tip for Skyline. A 4-inch difference between the two. Wilson with the advantage, and he wins the tip, gets back to Lustgarten, and we're off here at Olympus High School. Lustgarten hands it off on the wing, goes to Rasmussen. Rasmussen appeared in last year's matchup between these two squads. He'll get the screen from Wilson, kick it out to Lustgarten. Lustgarten looking for Wilson. He's guarded by Guthrie down low. Cross-court pass poked away by Brown, but regained by Lindquist. Ball goes out of bounds. It'll go off the hands of Brennan Blackett and stay Skyline basketball with 15 on the shot clock. Ite Lustgarten, the junior guard, put up 4 points with 2 rebounds and 2 assists in last year's matchup, and he'll kick it up to Rasmussen. Tries to drive right hand, Euro step, 1-2, gets it stripped away. Brown with possession, tries to find Palmer. He wasn't ready for it. Lustgarten grabs the steal, kicks it down low. Wilson dunks it home. 2-0 Skyline. 30 seconds into this one, 7:25 left to go in period number 1. Ty Palmer will take it across the timeline. The Vikings' first set offensive possession of today's game. He's guarded by Lustgarten. Kicks it out to Brown, top of the key. He'll hand it off to Blackett. Blackett tries to drive right hand. Now he goes left side, down on the block. He'll kick it up to Guthrie. Pull from 3 points is good. Hudson Guthrie from the left wing makes it 2-3 with the Vikings advantage. And now Pleasant Grove switching to more of a full court press look. Lustgarten's going to try to take it down the whole court. He gets it stripped in the key. It'll stay or move to Pleasant Grove basketball. That's something that's new with this Pleasant Grove squad this year, but something the Skyline faced last year with this Pleasant Grove team is that full court press.
Yeah, and obviously full court press is hard to get past too a lot of times, especially when you don't practice it in practice.
Palmer to Blackett, back to Palmer. He works on the left side. Gets the screen from Brown. Still Palmer, he'll hand it off to Guthrie. Guthrie on the left wing, kicked out to Palmer in the left corner. He'll pick up his dribble, kick it out to Brown. Brown thought about a 3, doesn't go. At the free throw line, he'll drop it down to Palmer. Nobody near him. Left hand lays it up and in. 5-2 Pleasant Grove lead. Looking smooth on offense so far. It's James Becker for Skyline. He's guarded by Blackett. Becker picks up his dribble and kicks it out to Rasmussen, who gets it out to Lustgarten. Lustgarten on the left wing, guarded ferociously by Palmer. 18 on the shot clock, 6:09 left on this first quarter. Lustgarten's going to pull up from the right elbow, try to bank it home. Bank is not open this late. 5:50 p.m., no chance to open those doors. Jackson Brown working on the free throw line. He'll kick it out to Anderson. Jab step left side, gets it poked away on his way in. Still fighting for it down low. They're going to whistle Palmer for the foul, his first of the game.
PG's also a shooting team too. I mean, we've seen a lot of them from previous games. They can shoot. They just need the confidence to shoot. I mean, we've seen a lot too where they get one bad shot, doesn't fall, and they just don't want to shoot anymore. But you can't let that get in your head. You just got to keep shooting. You just got to keep that rhythm going.
An early three-pointer by Guthrie gave the Vikings the lead that they haven't given up with 5:42 remaining in quarter number 1. Lustgarten working far away from the basket. He'll kick it out to Becker. Becker tries to drop it down low. He's double-teamed. That was Wilson. He kicked it out to the left corner for Lindquist, who connects. We are tied at 5. Lindquist on that far corner, working well with that three-point shot. And Ty Palmer, the point guard for the Vikings, continues to take the ball up the court. Gets it out to Blackett. Blackett working with the left hand, hands it off to Guthrie on the wing, kicked up to Brown. Brown, double team, kicks it to Palmer. He'll shoot from beyond the arc. Ball falls in and out. Cameron Wilson grabs the defensive rebound. It's 7-5 Eagles. Lustgarten drives left hand on the baseline. He'll kick it out to Rasmussen. Rasmussen now drives himself, and a charge is called. Andrew Anderson picks up the charge. It'll go against Rasmussen, and that's another big thing that this Pleasant Grove squad has gotten better at throughout the season.
100%. Those charges help them so much.
Is called.
Like
Andrew Anderson picks.
They've gone way better at it. A lot of times when they used to do it towards the start of the season, it was always just a block. They didn't really know how to do it effectively. Now, going into the season, they know how to do it pretty good.
Ty Palmer finds Brown on the left wing. He'll hand it off to Blackett. 4:45 remaining. It's 5-5 between these two squads. Andrew Anderson works right wing, now kicks it up to Palmer. He's near that Titans logo. Fakes right now, goes left in the lane. He'll retreat back out to the left. And Palmer is fouled as he tries to continue the ball movement. 4:31 left in period number 1. That's foul number 2 on Skyline in this young game. It's the first one against James Becker. Palmer from the baseline will kick it out to Anderson, who pulls a quick three-pointer, and it's good. Andrew Anderson, the Viking sharpshooter returning from last year's squad, is now playing defense as the Vikings have started to move to that full court press. He's working against Rasmussen. Rasmussen gets trapped in the corner, gets it out to Wilson. Wilson double-teamed, flings it high in the air. Brown and Blackett fight each other. Blackett ends up with it. Either way, it's Viking basketball. Blackett tries to go coast to coast, but works it off the front of the rim. And the Eagles get the ball back. Becker on the right wing on his own side will fly it cross court. Brown picks it up. He's fouled by Andrew Lindquist, his first. Skyline's third of the period. Blackett nearly had a roof-blowing dunk. Just missed it off the front of the rim. We've seen that a couple times for Pleasant Grove this year, just missing those big dunks.
PG, I mean, obviously, I'm going to change the subject a little bit, Alan. And PG, a little bit of a smaller team, not being able to get those rebounds that can save them the game. But, I mean, at the same time, it's not really their fault they're a smaller team, but those rebounds can be the reason you win or lose the game.
And Preston White and Zane Windsor getting their first moments of today's game. Here's Windsor, who picks it up and hands it off to White, just as we talk about him. White will pull up from the left side. Jumper won't go. 8-5. Pleasant Grove leads with 3:30 left to go in this first quarter. Lindquist for the Eagles. He'll pull up. Quick possession for Skyline. He missed everything. 3:23 now as the Vikings get going. Johansson also appearing for the first time in today's game. Windsor corner 3 won't go. A big rebound by Andrew Lindquist, as you talked about. There was an opportunity for Pleasant Grove to get that offensive board, and Lindquist, just a little bigger, was the one to pull it down. Lustgarten working right side. He starts to drive, kicks it out to Becker in the corner. Becker down to Wilson. Wilson posting up and going up against Brennan Blackett. Blackett the closest in size to Wilson, a 3-inch difference between the two. 2:48 remaining. Vikings still hold a 1-point lead. Blackett tries to drive on the baseline, kicks it out to White. White to Johansson. He's on the left wing. Retreats. Back to White. Right side, handoff to Brown. Brown, pump fake from the free throw line, steps through, floater won't go. Rebound, Cameron Wilson. Now the Eagles get moving quickly. Becker, one-on-one, misses everything himself. Eagles fans want a foul, they won't get it. Brown and the Vikings moving quickly. Brown pump fakes a man off him, takes a three-pointer and connects. 11-7. Vikings lead. Timeout, Skyline.
What a
Eagles
run
fans want a foul, they won't get it. Brown and the Vikings
as
moving
they
quickly.
continue.
Brown pump fakes a man off and takes a three-pointer and connects. 11-7 throughout these first. We're at 2:15, so the first 5 minutes or so of today's ball game.
One of the biggest things I've seen throughout this 5 minutes is defense. They are stepping up so good on defense. I mean, from previous games, they have their defense has been good, but it's been lacking a little bit. And we've seen the last 4 games, even maybe more than the 4 games, where their defense has been amazing, stepping up, getting those steals, getting those turnovers that they need. And I mean, obviously, I told Jack a little bit ago, like, if you're not playing good on offense, step up on defense. You always need defensive players who are going to be there and you can rely on.
The Vikings so far have forced a couple big misses to give themselves continuing momentum. And one of the guys who's hit a big 3 for Pleasant Grove so far, Jackson Brown, apparently owns Ashton Palmer and NCAA 25. I'd like to hear the statistic on that one. But the 6'5" forward for Pleasant Grove has played a big role early so far today. On the ball handling side, he's faced up against Lindquist near midcourt right now. 2:15 left to go. Lustgarten will take the ball up for the Eagles. He's one-on-one with Milo Johansson. Ite Lustgarten, 4-2-2 in last season's matchup between these two teams. He dumps it off to Wilson. Cameron Wilson, the 6'9" senior center, has scored the majority of Skyline's points today. Back to Lustgarten. He gets trapped, hands it off to Brown, who we were just talking about. To Johansson, lays it up. Brown can't get the flush, but he gets the finish at the basket. 13-7 Vikings lead. David Rasmussen drops it down to Wilson. Wilson from the right block tries to kick it down to the corner. Jackson Brown gets his hands on it and kicks it out the baseline. We'll see Skyline substitute Thomas Sunderland and Jace Bishop in for Lustgarten and Becker.
This team's playing so hard, Allen. I mean, you can be tired, but I mean, even if you are tired, you got to fight through that. Like, you can't ever just be tired and just give up.
Rasmussen working on White. He'll kick it out to Sunderland, who pulls from beyond the arc and connects. Skyline breaks their drought, moves to double digits. Windsor to Johansson. Vikings moving quickly offensively. Johansson, dribble drive, right-hand side, finds White under the basket. He'll lay it up and in, but not before the foul goes against Milo Johansson. That's the 4th for the Eagles, the 1st on Cameron Wilson. And Preston White from the baseline will get it in to Crockett. And Crockett on the right block, lowers his shoulder into Wilson, misses the hook shot, but Vikings get the ball back, as they'll say Wilson touched it last. With 35 on the shot clock, 1:10 left in this first quarter. Skyline struggled in the first quarter in their last time out against these Vikings. Brown, a stutter step on the right side corner to Windsor on the left side, back up to White. He'll reset to the top of the key, gets the screen from Crockett, drives left hand and finishes at the basket. Preston White with a big finish to put the Vikings up 5. David Rasmussen and the Eagles searching for points before the end of the first quarter. Rasmussen down to Wilson. He's against Crockett. Kicks it out to this near corner. It'll be Jace Bishop who gets it up to Lindquist. Lindquist resets up to Rasmussen. Rasmussen working against Windsor. He's trapped down low. 13 on the shot clock. Wilson on Crockett. Lowers the shoulder. And he traveled. Cameron Wilson takes he's trapped down low. 13 on the shot clock. Down Wilson low. And the Vikings Crockett lowers the shoulder. And he traveled. 29.5 shot clock turns off in quarter number 1. And Preston White will try to lead the Vikings offense to pad what is right now a 5-point lead. White slows it down at the Titans logo. Vikings want the last shot of this quarter. Out to Johansson, hands it off to Brown. Back up to White. White, right side, drives, left hand, can't finish at the rim. Rebound by Sunderland, and now the Eagles. Half-court shot at the buzzer, won't go. 15-10, your score after 1. Vikings lead by 5. 15-10, the score after 8 minutes of play. Vikings look solid so far offensively, but Zane, you've been harping on their defense throughout the entirety of this game, and looks like they're just getting better on that defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, I've been riding their defense. Their defense is so good right now. I mean, they're forcing so many turnovers that have saved them from getting Skyline more points than they should have right now.
And the big one to focus on is Wilson. He was down inside the paint on the Eagles side of the ball, and Crockett forcing the turnover on the travel. And that gave the Vikings an opportunity to pad their lead. Anderson back in the game. He'll drive down the right side, hand it off to Palmer. Fumbled at the top of the key. He'll regain possession. 15-10 your score early in quarter number 2. Palmer drives right hand. He's fouled on his way through. And Pleasant Grove will take it off the baseline. And they'll tag Shane Mulvey, his first appearance in today's game, and he gets tagged with the foul. Vikings quickly back to it. Guthrie to Palmer. Palmer pump fake, drops it down to Anderson, who kicks it out to Crockett. Crockett in the far corner will hand it back off to Anderson. Working inside the paint, working left hand, won't go. Crockett grabs the O-board and lays it back up and in. 17-10, Vikings lead.
Pleasant Grove doing the full court defense. Talked about Allen, they've been doing it throughout this entire game, and they're doing it to force those turnovers.
And it has, in essence, worked.
Yeah, it's worked.
Rasmussen kicks it up to Wilson. He's at the top of the key. The Vikings liked what they saw from Crockett. They'll keep him in at the beginning of the second quarter. Wilson out to Bishop. Bishop kicks it up to Sunderland. Sunderland drives right hand against Anderson. He'll lay it up and in. Tough finish for Thomas Sunderland. Anderson unhappy with himself for allowing that bucket. Palmer and the Vikings like to run quickly. Out to White, back up to Guthrie. Guthrie at the top of the key. He'll work left side, left wing. Hands it off to Anderson, who gets it back to White. A little bit of a fumble, but White maintains possession. Jump stop down low on the block. Back up to Anderson. Hand off to White. 12 on the shot clock. But Palmer and the Vikings will reset. Coach telling him to go, go, go. Palmer will pull up. Mid-range J missed everything. Thomas Sunderland with the rebound. A 5-point game. Eagles trying to cut the deficit. Here's Rasmussen, top of the key, gets it down to Wilson. Wilson lowers his shoulder, goes up. Crockett thought he got all balls. So did Coach Williams. But the foul will go against Cooper Crockett. The Vikings first of this second quarter and the first on Crockett. Zane, what'd you see in that run?
The offense was a little bit of a struggle. I mean, I talked about it in previous games, me and Jack, where you can't you can't move the ball faster than your team can handle. You got to find that pace, and moving the ball too fast where your team can't keep up, that's not going to help you at all. And finding that right pace, you're going to score almost every time.
Cameron Wilson heading to the free throw line. First time Skyline's been there today, to my knowledge. He's 1 for 1 so far. Vikings bring Blackett back in. And 1 for 2, the final tally from the line for Wilson. And a jump ball is called as Andrew Anderson got tied up with David Rasmussen. The possession arrow will keep the ball with Skyline. So Lindquist comes back in for the Eagles. Mulvey will inbound. With 6:05 left in quarter number 2, Mulvey gets it up to Sunderland. Sunderland at the free throw line, kicks it back out to Mulvey. He's guarded by Guthrie. Mulvey tries to drop it down low, a whistle blows. In the attempt, Anderson called for the foul, his first. 5:59 left to go in period number 2. Vikings evenly distributing the scoring so far. For the Eagles, it's mostly been Cameron Wilson taking the shots. He's off the court for the first time right now. Lindquist in the right corner. Loses the ball, but Brown is not in a spot to get it. Lindquist will hand it off to Sunderland. He's guarded ferociously by Anderson. Sunderland tries to drive right hand, stuck in no man's land. Skies it cross court to Bishop. Bishop at the top of the key, turnaround jumper, connects over Blackett. Vikings played good defense that whole possession. Not much you can do
Yeah,
We have a knockdown shooter.
Williams thinking he traveled.
Anderson, right wing, pump fake, now drives, top of the key. Kicks it out to Blackett. Blackett picks up his dribble, steps through left hand, lays it up, won't go. 3 Eagles fighting for possession. Bodies hit the floor. It's Blackett and Bishop, but we look to the other side. Mulvey working in a mid-range position, gets it out to Lindquist. He's in the corner. Back to Mulvey. 4:51 in what has been a scrappy second quarter as Mulvey pulls from the top of the key and gives the Eagles their first lead since early in quarter number 1. And Ty Palmer and the Vikings will search for an answer. Palmer to Blackett. Blackett starts to drive, then peels off, kicks it to Brown, near corner. His shot, too strong. And Mulvey with the defensive rebound. Mulvey, handoff to Lindquist. Lindquist spins, and he walked. Skyline thought it was a gather step in Pleasant Grove. Thinks the opposite. Zane, what'd you see?
It looked like a gather step. Whoa, it looked clean. I don't know. We don't have the best view, so I don't know if it was a travel or not. But
he covered a lot of ground in the 2 steps that he was given, but I think he did just move that pivot foot a little too much. Anderson, top of the key, tries to find Brown. Brown collides with Lustgarten in the air, and Brown touched it last. No foul called, so it'll be a turnover by Pleasant Grove, and Skyline takes over. Lustgarten trying to turn defense into offense. Gives it to Mulvey. Mulvey at the top of the key. He's against Guthrie. Back to Lustgarten. Lustgarten now to Lindquist. Lindquist draws a jump ball, and it'll turn to Pleasant Grove basketball as the second jump ball of the period. We'll reset the arrow back to Skyline where it started this quarter. But Pleasant Grove will grab the basketball. Guthrie exits. Windsor checks in with 3:50 to go in period number 2. Palmer takes over, drops it down to Blackett. Grab to Palmer. He'll zip to the basket. Goes too strong. Vikings missing strong here in the second quarter. Bishop drives on the baseline. Whistle blows. They'll call a foul on Andrew Anderson, I believe. The ball will be taken out of the baseline. Milo Johansson will come in for Anderson, his first. Anderson's first, that is. The Vikings' second of quarter number 2. 3:31 remaining. Excuse me, Vikings' third. They called it against Brennan Blackett. Lustgarten working left lane. He'll turn around jumper on top of Johansson. It won't go.
Brennan taking it up the court.
Vikings still down 1. Blackett out to Palmer. Palmer, the Vikings' primary ball handler, doing so now. Drives right side of the lane. Tough finish at the basket. Won't go. Windsor pokes it. But the Eagles regain possession. Sunderland with 3 minutes on the clock. Gets it out to Mulvey. Mulvey, jab step. Now we'll kick it back to Lustgarten, who swings it to Lindquist. Back out to Mulvey. Playing keep away is Lindquist. 13 on the shot clock. Jab step by Mulvey. Spins, kicks it out to the corner. Drive by Lustgarten down the baseline. He'll throw it up to Sunderland. Off the back of the rim. Blackett keeps the feet in bounds, and the Vikings say go, go, go. Here comes Palmer. Free throw line. Out to Johansson. Kick to Windsor. Corner 3. Good! Vikings lead by 2. Whistle blows. And the Vikings call a timeout as they regain their lead, 20-18. Windsor with a good cut, gets himself wide open in the corner. That's what you like to see from this Vikings offense that's maybe now finding their stride late in this second quarter.
Yeah, PG playing so good. I mean, obviously, like I said, Allen, you gotta play your right pace. You can't play fast. You can't play slower than anyone else. Everyone's gotta play at the same pace. Can't play too fast. And those rebounds, I mean, obviously we're struggling on rebounds, but we are a smaller team. That defense is so good right now, playing so effective. Getting those turnovers in the offense, you just got to keep moving the ball. I said it in previous games where you got that off-ball movement. Well, it's so good. You can't just say, oh, let's just screen the ball and not worry about anyone else on the court. Off-ball movement, off-ball screens, that's going to get a man wide open from 3 or even just cut in for a free layup.
And as you talk about that pace, it's wildly different between these two teams. Skyline on their offensive possessions looking to get into single digits on the shot clock before they shoot it. Pleasant Grove, when you get an open shot, pull it. And that worked for Windsor as the Vikings tried to push the pace there and gave themselves a lead. That's something I've seen from the Vikings. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but they're able to play at different paces.
Yeah,
whereas Skyline has, when Pleasant Grove's tried to push the pace, Skyline's faltered.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Here are the Eagles trying to answer after Windsor's big 3 in the corner. Lustgarten with 2:14 left in period number 2. Out to Becker, back to Lustgarten. Top of the key, drives against White. Now he retreats. And we'll reset out to Becker. Right wing, back out to Lustgarten, tries to step into one. Vikings close too quickly. The help defense for the Vikings, as you've talked about, ferocious right now. Becker kicks it to the corner for Lindquist. He'll pull the trigger. He's too strong. Preston White grabs the rebound as it flies through Wilson's hands. Blackett trying to go coast to coast. He'll lay it up. Finger roll into the basket. Vikings lead by 4. David Rasmussen for Skyline. Tries to drop it down low, poked away by Windsor, but still finds the hands of Lindquist up to Lustgarten. Skyline resets to call their play. 1:27 on the game clock, 18 on the shot clock. Rasmussen back out to Lindquist. He'll swing it. Wide open 3. Won't go. Rebound by Milo Johansson. Vikings on a 5-0 run, trying to push it. Johansson off the top of the glass, can't connect as he flies into the bleachers. 5-on-4 for the Eagles. Lustgarten trying to take advantage of it. Johansson gets back now. Drops down low to Wilson. Brown was too busy helping Rasmussen as Johansson got back, and Wilson lays it up and stops the Vikings run and brings it to a 1-score ball game.
PG hoping, any team wants to have a team going, the lead going in the half, so praying that PG's praying that they can have the lead going in the half. That will help you so much too coming out into the second half. It's going to bring your motivation up so much more.
White found Windsor under the basket, who dribbled it off his foot. And the Vikings turn the ball over with 46.4 left to go. 2 or 3 possessions remaining here in quarter number 2. Lustgarten, slow up the court, takes it past the timeline. Vikings brought Guthrie in for Blackett for these last few possessions. Skyline playing keep away. Becker drops it down to Rasmussen. He's on the right block. Kicks it out. Here's Becker, back out to Rasmussen. Corner 3 won't go. Brown, good box out. Gets the rebound with 20 seconds to go. A quick turnover by Pleasant Grove gives Becker and the Eagles the ball back. Becker flying up against Brown. He's blocked, poked out of bounds. Foul is what they'll call. Believe it'll go against Milo Johansson, and that's an ill-advised play that you can't have. Pleasant Grove, as you've talked about, trying to play too quickly. And with 20 seconds left, they had plenty of time to slow the pace. Instead, trying to push it creates a turnover, and now a chance for Skyline to tie it on the other end. Rasmussen at the free throw line misses the first off the front of the rim. "13 seconds flat remaining in the second quarter. 2 for 4, the Eagles from the free throw line. In today's game, 1 for 2 on that trip. White hands it off to Johansson, top of the key. He'll drive right hand, double teamed, throws one up awkwardly. Rebound by the Eagles, gets out to Lindquist. Lindquist kicks it out to Rasmussen, and the buzzer sounded before any foul would have been called. So 22-21, your final tally at the end of one half. Zane, Vikings offense falters towards the end of that second quarter, making mistakes, trying to play too quickly, as we've harped on again and again and again so far today, but just feels like a couple mental mistakes given by Pleasant Grove.
It's just those little mistakes. I mean, basketball is a mental sport. Like, you can't let anything get in your head. You can't take one bad shot, have it go too strong, and completely miss the rim and say, I'm not shooting again. Like, PG knows they're good. They're a shooting team. I think they're going to the rim so much, and it can be so effective, but I feel like Skyline's kind of getting onto that and saying they're just going to drive in, let's just play up. If they can just show more that they can shoot from the 3 and prove Skyline wrong, Skyline's going to struggle on defense because you don't know what they're going to do.
And on that last possession, Brown tried to drive down low. He was double teamed. with about 5 or 6 seconds left. Could have kicked it out. Instead, took an off-balance shot and ended up resulting in nothing. But Skyline had the opportunity to try and push the ball down the court and get a bucket to take the lead. But on the plus side, the Vikings do have a lead, 22-21, going into halftime. And you harped at the beginning of the game, they're a second-half team. And holding a lead at halftime as a second-half team usually bodes pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. And you can't be comfortable with your lead throughout basketball. You can be up 20, you can be up 30 with being in the fourth quarter with like 6 minutes left to play. You can't be comfortable with that. Anything can happen in this game. You can make those mental mistakes, you can get turnovers, and it's so easy for a team just to come back and steal the game from you, especially when you have that 10, 15, 20, whatever points.
Yeah, Zane, you know I take the opportunity to talk about my Aggies whenever I can. Utah State down 18 to 20th-ranked San Diego State on Saturday, ended up coming back to win that game. What felt like a comfortable lead for any team, being up 18 at home. Your higher-ranked team, your favored, ends up resulting in a loss. And a 1-point lead, nothing to feel comfortable about at halftime. And on the other side, for the Eagles, a 1-point deficit, maybe something to celebrate after the way that you saw parts of that first half go down, Skyline down 1. What do they need to change in the second half that they haven't changed already?
Defense. They're letting, especially Brennan. I mean, Brennan's a bigger guy. He's tall, and he's such a long wingspan. A lot of times we see him drive in, he can get in there. Like, he can easily just get it right above you and just lay it in. And, I mean, other teams, they can, well, not other teams, like other players on PG, they can shoot. I think it's just got to be defense. Defense is basketball, pretty much. Like, if you don't have the best defense, you're just going to let the other team rack up points, and it's not going to do anything for you. So I would just say defense, honestly.
And defensively, Pleasant Grove looked like the better team in that first half. Just couldn't hit shots on the offensive end. Now, for Skyline on their own offensive end, they made a couple buckets, and we talked about them waiting late into the shot clock to take these shots, and it's bode well for them in the first half. 21 points at halftime, 1-point deficit, but you might want to see a little more go from that Skyline offense, or is that just me?
I would say maybe go a little bit, but not too much where you're playing go and causing those little tiny turnovers. But
the third quarter last season is where Pleasant Grove pulled away from this Skyline squad. We have a third quarter coming up here on PGSN. 6:25 left in the break. We'll be back. Alan Judson, Zane Grothy from Olympus High School. We'll step away. 53 seconds left to go until we get back to basketball. Vikings 22, Skyline 21 here in the 12th annual Olympus tournament just before the new year. Vikings will play one more game here tomorrow versus the Leighton Lancers, a New Year's Eve game for this Vikings squad. Skyline played yesterday and the day before, so this is their third game in 3 days, and most teams just play 3 games here at this tournament. Mountain View and Cottonwood, the 2 teams faced by Skyline, they're 2-0 at this tournament, trying to move to 3-0 today. Vikings 0-1 thus far with a loss versus Highland, their last time out on Saturday, and now up by 1 versus Skyline at halftime. It's time for the second half. Vikings led by Ty Palmer. It'll be Palmer, Guthrie, Brown, Anderson, and Blackett on the court to open up for Pleasant Grove. They also open up with a 1-point lead. You see Blackett. I want him to prove these. Like, Ty is secretly a good singer. Let's hear a Ty Palmer solo. And Blackett, get Blackett to dance to it.
That'd be tough.
Get the whole team involved. And a difficult inbound for Skyline, but Lusgarten gets the ball for the Eagles. Up, down 1. Kicks it out to Lindquist, right wing. He'll hand it off to Rasmussen. Rasmussen retreats nearly to the logo. Before getting it out to Wilson, drop down to Rasmussen. No one near, but he misses the wide open layup. They do say that's the toughest shot in sports. Palmer kicks it out to Guthrie. Guthrie kicks it out to Brown, who takes a 3-pointer and connects. Brown has 8 on the day. He's the Vikings' leading scorer. And Pleasant Grove is up 4. Lusgarten and Skyline trying to find a spark. They'll hand it off to Rasmussen on the left wing. He kicks it down to Wilson against Guthrie. Wilson, right-hand hook shot won't go. Brown grabs a tough rebound over Rasmussen. And here comes the Vikings train. Brown out to Guthrie. Guthrie thought about a 3, pulls Wilson out of the key. Now he'll go up against Wilson in the key. Tough finish against Wilson's right hand.
It's harder. It's definitely harder too for PG when they're getting down in the paint. They're trying to they're getting backed up. It's hard for them to play just because of how much of a smaller team they are, and especially when they have a bigger guy backing them down. It's harder for them to keep track on that.
Lusgarten free throw line jumper puts Skyline within 4. 6:33 left in period number 3. Palmer out to Brown. He's at the top of the key. Drop down to Palmer. He was streaking to the basket. He finds Guthrie in the left corner before falling out of bounds. Guthrie's left hand is tried and true. 29-23. Becker on the other side for Skyline. Gets it out to Lindquist. Lindquist up to Becker, out to Lusgarten. Gets it to Rasmussen, left wing. And they'll reset to Lusgarten. Skyline moving the ball well efficiently. It gets out to Wilson, who kicks it up to Lindquist, back out to Lusgarten. Lindquist drops it down to Wilson. 4 on the shot clock against Guthrie. Fade away floater is good. 29-25. Skyline with the deficit. Palmer takes it past the timeline. Works left hand. Guthrie down to Brown. He's on the right block, and a charge called on Jackson Brown. They'll say he put his elbow up. That's Brown's first. The Vikings' first of this third quarter with 5:30 left to go.
Those are obviously tough calls to make, too, on those charges. I mean, the most charges I've seen is when a player falls to the ground. I don't really see much charges when an elbow gets backed up into them, which is called as a foul. So
Lusgarten working against Palmer. With 5:20, he kicks it out to Wilson. Wilson drops it down to Lindquist. It's poked away by Pleasant Grove. Anderson and the Vikings get going. Down on the right block. Kicked out to Blackett. Pump fake 3. Steps to the left. He'll take it. Fell to the court after the shot. The rebound by Guthrie is poked away. And Cameron Wilson will dunk it home for Skyline. Wide open on the other side of the court. And the Vikings continue to put pressure offensively with their speed. Guthrie, wide open 3, and Wilson's face connects. 32-27.
PG sticking with the full court press.
Scoring in bunches here in quarter number 3 for both sides. Lindquist working against Guthrie, drops it down to Wilson. Wilson against Brown, right-hand hook shot is good. 14 on the day for Cameron Wilson, working against Pleasant Grove's smaller lineup. Crockett will check in at the next whistle. Out to Guthrie. He'll drive on Wilson, double team help. Kicked out in the corner, Anderson. Quick help by the Eagles. Anderson has the ball rattle around. It's grabbed by Becker. Becker trying to go coast to coast, steps through on Guthrie and goes with the left hand into the bucket. 1 point ball game. 10 points scored by both teams in this third quarter as we're just past halfway through. Windsor Johansson and the aforementioned Crockett waiting on the sideline. Anderson calls for a screen, instead he'll hand it off to Blackett. Blackett up to Brown. Brown guarded by Lindquist. He'll kick it out to Palmer. Lindquist helps. Palmer drives to the basket, tries the finger roll, and it's blocked by Wilson. Rasmussen gets possession to Wilson. Wilson gets to Anderson. Anderson fouls. 3:34 left to go. Skyline currently down 1 with a chance to take the lead here as Cameron Wilson heads to the free throw line. Skyline 2 for 4 from the line so far.
Alan, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't really know how to explain this in like a good basketball term way, but Brennan's one of the tallest guys, like not I guess the tallest guys, but he is one of the taller guys on the court. Not so much bigger, but I think he's a good shooter. He's got that KD form a little bit, but I feel like if they could just somehow nail it down, maybe try to put Brennan in the paint and try to give it into him in the paint and try to have him do like a little like half spin and like try to fake it and just try to get that layup.
Yeah, Blackett, maybe more opportunities in that key. Blackett stays on. Cooper Crockett is on the court. That's the Vikings' main paint guy. He'll go against Wilson, who has 16 now.
Milo handling the ball.
Johansson takes it up the court. Vikings playing with a deficit for the first time in this second half. Out to Guthrie. He'll try and find Crockett, but led his receiver a little too far. And the turnover gives Skyline the basketball back. Lustgarten, Vikings back off the full court press. Lustgarten top of the key, 3:13 left to go in period number 3. A lot of ball left to be played. Becker out to Lustgarten, back to Becker. Vikings in the zone as the ball gets back out to Lustgarten. Lustgarten tries to drive left hand, helped by Windsor, comes out to Lindquist. Lindquist trapped in the corner, finds Becker. Up against Crockett, he's blocked. Crockett will grab the ricochet. Blackett fires it to Guthrie, who kicks it to Windsor in the corner. Not enough as it's off the back of the rim. Crockett with the rebound. Crockett with another rebound, and now the whistle is blown. The Vikings bench wanted 3 or 4 fouls on that possession. And after the third attempt by Crockett, they'll blow the whistle on James Becker, his second. Only Skyline's first. And they'll say it was on the floor. Jace Bishop will come in for James Becker.
That's got to be so hard, though, for a ref to call. I mean, obviously, when you have one guy trying to handle the ball, get it in, and then 4 defenders on him, it's almost always going to be a foul.
Johansson gets the inbound picked off by Lustgarten. One-on-one, Blackett swatted it off the back of the glass, but they're called a foul.
And then 4 defenders on him. It's almost always going to be a foul.
It will be on the shot.
Johansson gets the inbound
throws coming in for Skyline, and that's
been a difference between these two teams.
Pleasant Grove has not reached the free throw line yet today. When they do reach the free throw line this season, they're shooting 71%. Skyline is taking their 4th trip to the free throw line. They're now 5 and 7 on those trips. Statistically, they'll miss this next shot 65% from the line this season. And they say numbers don't lie, but 6 for 8 now on the day. Skyline up possession, 35-32, 2:30 left to go in quarter number 3. Johansson finds Crockett, top of the key. Wilson's against him. Out to Blackett. Blackett steps back and he'll pull the trigger off the front of the rim. Rolls around, but gets to Sunderland. Sunderland to Rasmussen. Rasmussen against Guthrie. Whistle blown. It'll be off ball on Crockett. Trying to go against Wilson. That'll bring in Preston White and Jackson Brown. Out comes Guthrie and Blackett.
I feel like right now, Allen, PG's playing a little bit too fast. They're forcing those shots that don't need to be forced. I mean, basketball, you got to get those right shots. You got to get those perfect shots, I would say. You can't force any bad shots.
Now Brown intercepts the inbound. It gets to Johansson. White dribbles past the three-point line. Now will drive in, kicks it out to Brown, who's set for three and connects. Jackson Brown, the sharp shooter for the Vikings today, ties us up at 35. Boy, has he been good from beyond the arc. A free opportunity for Sunderland to answer. Won't go off the left side of the rim. Windsor with the rebound. Gets it to Brown. Brown steps into it. Off the top of the rim. Nearly had his fourth of the day. He's at 11 points. Down low to Rasmussen. He goes against Brown. He hits the shot clock. At least I thought. No whistle blown for it to be out of bounds. Windsor drops it off to Johansson. Back to Windsor. Corner three. Good. Vikings lead by 3. Whistle blows. At least I thought. No whistle blown for it to be out of bounds. Windsor drops it off to Johansson. Back to Windsor. Corner side. 3. Good. Tried and true. Corner 3 from Zane Windsor, the senior guard, who was the first guy off the bench. If you remember, Pleasant Grove played 2 5-man rotations last year. Windsor was that 11th guy on the squad, the first guy up after an injury, and the first guy off the bench when spot minutes were needed for foul trouble, finally getting minutes this season, and he's connecting from downtown today. 38-35, the lead in quarter number 3. Zane, back and forth quarter number 3. What have you seen from these two teams so far?
Yeah, definitely back and forth, just like you said, Alan. I mean, both teams fighting so hard for this lead. It's been a close game throughout the entire game. It hasn't been there hasn't been one quarter where it's like a blowout in that quarter, It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You kind of, as of right now, kind of can expect both teams to score almost every possession.
16-14, how this third quarter stands. Currently in terms of points, Vikings have a slight edge after that Windsor three-pointer. That broke the 35-point tie. Lustgarten playing against Johansson. He loses the ball, but a whistle will blow, and Carson Williams is not happy on the Vikings sideline. He thought he got the turnover he wanted. Saw a little bit of contact. Zane, you think it was enough to warrant a whistle?
No, I don't. It was a little, I don't know. I mean, as a ref, if you see any bit of contact, it's their job to call it. So, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like maybe let them play, but in that situation, might as well call it. But I don't know. I think it might have just been a clean turnover, honestly.
It's the second today against Johansson, the 5th of the quarter against the Vikings. So Skyline will head to the free throw line in the double bonus. They eliminated the single bonus, if you remember last season, in Utah high school basketball. Every team just goes to the free throw line for 2 after 5, and 1 for 2 the result by Skyline. Windsor on the right wing, hands it off to White. White calls for a screen from Crockett, who backs off. Down on the baseline, kicks it out to Johansson, out to Brown, and Skyline regains possession in their side of the court. Corner three-pointer taken and missed. And the ball gets to Brown, out to Johansson. Now White drives in, left hand, right hand, goes. Tough bucket for Preston White, moving laterally. And now poked away by Jackson Brown. 3-on-2, Vikings have the advantage. Dropped off to Windsor, who drops it off to White. His three-pointer won't go. Brown fighting for a rebound. Instead, it falls into the hands of Lindquist. With 30 seconds left to go in period number 3, Vikings nursing a 4-point lead. Turnover forced by Windsor. One on nobody. Windsor lays it up and in on the defensive end. With Windsor 30 seconds left to go in period number 3, Vikings nursing a 4-point lead. Turnover forced by Windsor. One on nobody. Windsor lays it up and in. Vikings feeling good. 10 seconds to go in quarter number 3. Skyline wants the last shot. Instead, Sunderland just pulls it off the right side of the rim. Still fought for it. They'll be out of bounds on Skyline with 1.3 ticks remaining on the clock. Vikings lead by 6 and will have a chance for one more shot. Chaotic last 60 seconds. That feels like everything's been going the Vikings' way.
Yeah.
Johansson going to heave it to Crockett, who will take the half-court shot. It's good if it goes, and it banks too strong. Vikings lead by 6 after period number 3. They were down in this period with about 3 minutes to go. Go on a run, up 6 as we head into 8 final minutes of basketball. Zane, this was the play that put the Vikings up 6, and now you feel like they have full momentum. Windsor's turnover that he takes to the left side of the basket, lays it up. and in. When they say defense turns to offense, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. Windsor with that clutch steal to give them that lead. And Jackson Brown, literally the play before that with the other steal that he gave the ball straight to Windsor. It's, again, I will say it again, it's the defense. Their defense has been so good. They know when to step up. And they're proving my point right now when I say they're knowing when to step up. Because they're stepping up so much right now on defense, getting those turnovers that are hurting Skyline and only making PG get that lead.
Yeah, we've talked about Windsor again and again. He also hit a big three-pointer in the corner. Says he can beat anyone in NCAA 25. A lot of college football 25 being played on this squad, you have to feel like. And the man you see on your screen right now, GK Jarrett, I know they play, Windsor and Jared play pretty often, and from what I've seen, it's usually Windsor blowing out GK.
Yeah, by a lot too.
So I've personally never played him. Maybe we'll have to run up a match. Maybe it'll end after the first quarter if he's really as good as he says he is, because I'm not. Just hand the ball off is my philosophy, but
you give it to Cameron Scottaboo.
Vikings give it to Windsor to open up this fourth quarter. Pleasant Grove with a 6-point lead, dropped off to Crockett at the top of the key. Fakes the three-pointer, now fakes the handoff to Johansson, he'll drive. Now we'll kick it to Johansson, top of the key. Skedaddling around. Johansson with 16 on the shot clock. Looks for Crockett, now gets to Brown. Brown goes to the right wing. Now dribble drive with the right hand, gets under the basket, they'll wave it off. Basket will not count, a foul on the ground. And not happy about the call is Jace Bishop, his first foul of the day. Skyline's first early in quarter number 4, and that could come back to bite him if the Vikings could hold this lead and get to the free throw line one foul earlier. White drives right hand wide open, or far from wide open as Wilson came over to help, but still a big finish for Preston White as the Vikings take an 8-point lead. Mulvey nearly turned the ball over against Johansson. Windsor now stuck between a rock and a hard place as Rasmussen will drive into the basket and won't get the bucket to fall, but will get the foul called. So heading to the line now is David Rasmussen. Vikings still yet to take a trip to the charity stripe. If they can maintain this lead in the fourth quarter, will likely be on their way to the foul game late in this one.
Yeah, I think something too with Johansson, bringing him into this conversation. I've seen so much from him in this game and previous games where he is so effective with saying, especially when he has the ball, when he does his little through the legs, he's really good at faking out the defender, saying, "Oh, he's gonna shoot. Never mind." He just crosses over and he can get through. And he just that one possession where he had the ball, he did that probably 4 times and it almost faked out the defender every time.
Rasmussen 1 for 2 from the free throw line, cuts the deficit to 7. Dropped off to Brown, kicked out to Crockett. Wilson comes to the line to help him. Crockett loses the ball on the drive. He had Wilson as barbecue chicken behind him, but just lost the ball. Windsor going against Rasmussen. Rasmussen hands it off. Quick switch by Pleasant Grove. The basketball is in Mulvey's hands. He tries to find a cutting Rasmussen, but it's picked off by Zane Windsor. Windsor slows the offense down, gets it to White. White on the left wing. Tries to drive off Mulvey. Drops him. Jump stop right in front of the basket. Preston White drops in. Beautiful ball handling from White as the Vikings turn defense into offense again. A pull-up jumper from just in front of the free throw line is Sunderland. He connects. A shot the Vikings are willing to give up. That long two-pointer as they lost help on the full court press. Windsor at the logo, drops it off to Johansson. Johansson finds Crockett, who retreats to the top of the key. A pump fake, handoff to Johansson. Johansson deep, three-pointer, 5 feet behind the line, doesn't matter. Milo Johansson makes it a double-digit ball game. It's Johansson's first points of the day. And big ones to pad the Vikings lead. Rasmussen now working against him defensively. Kicks it out to the corner, poked away by Brown. Still working as Bishop, his jumper will go.
Windsor now handling the ball.
Vikings with an 8-point lead. And 5:30 left to try and maintain it. Handoff to Brown on the right wing. Screen from Crockett. Brown will take it himself down low. Lay it up off the bottom of the rim, but get the foul. And the Vikings will head to the free throw line for the first time today.
A little bit of a late call there, too. I don't know where I was going with that after I said a little bit of a late call, but
Brown.
Yep, that's all you, bro.
And Brown didn't get the switch at the top of the key on that pick and roll with Crockett and decided to take it himself. He misses the first. That'll bring in Hudson Guthrie as the senior forward. His first season on Pleasant Grove will sub in for Crockett.
Brown second. Good.
1 for 2, the first trip from the line for Pleasant Grove. Brown now has 12. Ite Lustgarten, primary ball handler for Skyline today. He has it now at the top of the key. Kicks it quickly to the corner to Sunderland. Back up to Rasmussen. Rasmussen, left hand on the left side, misses. Rebound nearly by Wilson. Instead, Jackson Brown gets it. He's trapped on the baseline, but finds Preston White on the outlet. Under 5 to go here in this ball game. White working on the left wing. Gets the screen from Guthrie. Doesn't do anything with it. White keeps the ball alive, kicks it to Brown under the basket. Left hand, twisting, twirling, doesn't matter. Jackson Brown has 14. Jace Bishop on the other end, whistle blows, he walked. Twirling doesn't matter. Jackson Brown has 14. Not the best weather to walk in, if, in my opinion, Jace Bishop on the other end, whistle blows, he walked. A couple travels called on Skyline today. They have not agreed with. Down 11, could be a big turnover in the scope of this one. Johansson. Guarded by Lustgarten, he's pushing him. Kicked out to Brown, top of the key. 20 on the shot clock, 4:24 left in this game. Hand off to Johansson, he works right hand, stops, kicks it up to Blackett. Blackett at the free throw line, finds a cutting Windsor, kicks it out to Guthrie. Guthrie kicks it out to Johansson, who pulls the trigger off the front of the rim. Rebound from Jace Bishop. He'll sky it to Wilson, too far. Wilson could not one-hand the outstretched grab. And with 4:04 remaining, the Vikings up by 11, and they have the basketball.
PG showing what they're capable of, too. I mean, you go through this game, and you're like, okay, they have a 4-6 record coming into this game. We shouldn't be too scared of them. And you come into this game, and you're like, whoa, they're better than I expected them to be.
This is Skyline's 4th game versus 6A opponents. 1-2 thus far, with their only win versus the lowest-ranked 6A opponent, Farmington. And it's kicked out to Guthrie. Gets a man to jump. He drives in for a mid-range. Won't go. A rebound by Andrew Lindquist on the other end. He's got 3 points today. But they'll get it into the hands of Sunderland, who pulls the corner 3 and connects. He gets to double digits with his 10th. Whistle blows. We'll take a break here with 3:32 left to go in this one. Vikings lead by 8, 3:32 left to go in period number 4. Vikings playing in game 2 of their Olympus tournament run. Skyline in game 3, third game in as many days. They're 2-0 thus far. Vikings 0-1. Pleasant Grove will face the Lancers of Layton tomorrow on New Year's Eve in their third game in 4 days. Vikings 4-6 this season, trying to near themselves to 500.
As Skyline is now taking PG's defense and playing full court press, as it works. It gives Skyline the ball back.
And Preston White turns the ball over, just stepping on that baseline. With 3:29 left to go, Skyline defers to aggressive play as they need buckets quickly. They'll get it into the hands of Rasmussen. He gets the screen, driving down low, instead kicks it out to the corner to Lindquist, who pulls the trigger and connects. Skyline within 5. Continuing the full court press. Vikings have to be careful now. Jackson Brown running the baseline, gets it to White. White dribbles it off his foot. 2 mistakes by Preston White. Back-to-back turnovers by the young sophomore. And they'll bring in Windsor. A little more experience on the court now. Lusgarten throws it into Rasmussen, who catches it over his shoulder, drops it to Wilson, who's working against Guthrie. Wilson off balance, misses everything. Jackson Brown spins, and he turns the ball over. Skyline with nobody to guard him. Wilson slams it home. We have a one-possession ball game. Guthrie searching for somebody, anybody, and he turns the ball over, but it finds the hands of Windsor. Now the Vikings slow it down. Windsor, Blackett, Anderson. The service line there, 2:36 left to go. Brown up to Blackett, he'll back off. 18 seconds to go, one possession ball game, 52-49. Timeout from Coach Carson Williams. The Vikings lead has evaporated in seconds. Costly turnovers on the offensive end. Zane, what'd you see?
Again, playing too fast. With 2:31 to play, you're up three, up three, and Skyline down 3. You can't play too fast. You're getting all those, you can't get those little simple turnovers that are going to make it so Skyline can just come back and steal your lead like they are already doing. They're just stealing your lead, not taking the lead, but pretty much coming back, making this a very closer game than it should be, honestly.
And the Vikings called the timeout with 16 seconds on the shot clock, so that's what they'll have to work with coming out of the break. The move to bring out White for Windsor, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it was probably a good decision. I mean, with 2:31 left to play, White making those two simple mistakes, causing 2 turnovers, one on the full court press and the other one on another full court press, I believe. And so I think that's a smart decision. I mean, White got in his head a little bit, I think, after that second turnover. And I mean, when you're in your head and coach can see that he's going to pull you out, it's not smart to keep you in when you're in your head like that.
The Vikings going to run with Windsor, Guthrie, Anderson, Brown, and Johansson. So Palmer stays on the bench here. And taking a quick break. They'll throw it into Windsor in the backcourt. Under 2:30 left to go in this one. Vikings have 12 seconds on the shot clock. Windsor down to Guthrie. Out to Windsor on the right wing, 6 seconds on the shot clock. He gets the screen, drops it down to Brown. Brown loses the ball, and the shot clock will expire. They'll call a jump ball first. So the possession arrow points to Skyline. It's going to turn to Skyline basketball, but the Eagles are arguing that the clock ran out first, which would allow them to keep the possession arrow. And they are not going to change the call, so still a jump ball, meaning the possession arrow will flip.
I think this is where high school players wish they could have like what NBA and NFL and college do, the instant replay so refs can double check the call.
Rasmussen gets it out to Lusgarten. It was close. And they'll just stick with what the call in the court was previously, and that's what we see in those higher leagues, is if you can't have any proof to change it, you don't. Lusgarten out to Sunderland. Sunderland back to Lusgarten. He's at the top of the key, under 2 to go. Lusgarten weasels through, lays it up to Wilson, who runs into Brown. Brown got the foul called on him, said, I did nothing wrong. I was just in my spot. And that's what Coach Williams is trying to say. Zane, what'd you see?
I don't think he did anything wrong. He jumped and landed on his back.
So this is a question I have for you. Maybe I don't watch enough basketball, but Brown got called for a block there. Wilson did not have the basketball. Can they call a block off ball?
I don't know. I've never seen a block off ball, so I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
There's a first for everything, and that three-pointer won't go for Thomas Sunderland as the Vikings elect to keep the pace slow. Brown will take it across the timeline. 1:45 left to go in this one. Up to Johansson, who's guarded by Sunderland. Johansson spins out. He gets to the right wing. Now sends it up to Anderson. 15 on the shot clock. Anderson goes coast to coast. Windsor in the corner, now on the wing. He loses it. It'll stay Viking basketball. Lusgarten was the last one to get his paw on it.
1:27 left to play in this fourth quarter. 9 seconds left on the shot clock.
Windsor.
Trying to get something fast.
Windsor will inbound to Brown, who goes reverse hand and lays it up and in. Big reverse layup for Jackson Brown as the Vikings go up 5. Lustgarten. Eagles try to move quickly. They get it to Sunderland. Sunderland out to Rasmussen. Rasmussen gets inside the paint, and the rebound by Guthrie on the miss. 60 seconds to play. Guthrie to Johansson. Flies up and one! Milo Johansson gives the Vikings a 7-point lead and will go to the line. 60 seconds to play. Guthrie to Johansson. Defense flies up and one for the Vikings. The story of the game. And now they have a chance to pad what is a 7-point lead.
Yeah, it looked like Carson Williams telling his players to slow down too on that drive, and the players looked like they pretty much just said no and got the and one.
All is well that ends well, as the Vikings missed the free throw for Johansson, but the layup is much appreciated to nurse their lead. Lustgarten on the left wing, driving against Anderson. He'll pull up from the right elbow and bank it home. 5-point lead now for the Vikings. They'll get the basketball back as Skyline calls a timeout. It's been a wavy game, a game of some runs so far. Vikings and the Eagles nearly tied at halftime. Vikings had a 1-point lead, and then Skyline took the lead in the third quarter. Vikings opened up the lead to end the third quarter, and then Skyline got within a score here in quarter number 4. Now it feels like the Vikings starting to pull away again. What was just a 7-point lead, now a 5-point lead with 39.6 left to go in this one. Your Coach Williams in that huddle. What's the message to the team?
Play smart. I mean, there's 39.6 seconds left to be specific. 35 on the shot clock. You got to play smart. I think that's probably what Carson's saying, also drawing up a play too for them. But Alan, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is this where Skyline should start playing foul game? Or do you think maybe you try to get one more shot off and pray you make it and then just let it play out?
It may be a little early for the foul game. That certainly shouldn't be the first thing you do. Try to force Pleasant Grove to get into their half-court offense before you try to get that foul. But it may be, if Pleasant Grove can successfully get it past that timeline, it may be time to foul. Here's Windsor to Brown, and Skyline looks like they're trying to foul and just not getting the call. Windsor is at the logo. He kicks it to Brown. Brown's open and fouled as he drives down the baseline by Andrew Lundquist. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like Skyline was trying to foul that whole possession.
Yeah, 100%. It looked like they're trying to get the foul, but couldn't get it. I mean, from what I saw, though, it didn't really look like they were fouling until that last foul that the refs did end up calling.
It took them 8 seconds to get the foul. Vikings still not quite going to the line yet. One more foul necessary by the Eagles to send Pleasant Grove to the line. The inbound will come in from Johansson. It gets to Windsor. Windsor dances around, and now he gets fouled with 25.6 left to go. 2 free throw line shots coming in for Windsor, who has 8. Vikings will retreat from the lanes. It's Windsor, the lone blue jersey, at the free throw line, and he connects on his first free throw. 57-51, Vikings with a 2-possession lead. This next free throw is big for Windsor and the Vikings to make it a 3-score lead, and he does. Zane Windsor, tough as nails from the corner and the line today. 10 points for him. He gets to double digits. Lustgarten on the other end for the Eagles. Gets it out to Lindquist. They have to take a shot, and the Vikings foul, and Coach Williams is not happy. And rightfully so, not the time to foul if you're Pleasant Grove. That one goes against Hudson Guthrie. Brown pokes away the inbound. He'll lay it up in the left corner and just start to dance around, and Ite Lustgarten forced to foul. And this feels like it might be all she wrote. Vikings up 7 with 11 seconds flat to play in this one, and Jackson Brown heading to the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, even with that 11 seconds left, you're sending a good free throw shooter to the line. I don't know if it's, especially with 11 seconds, 2 possession or more than a 2-possession game. It's a little interesting to just foul. Maybe just let the clock play out. But
unless the Vikings make another bucket in this game, as a quick 3-pointer for Skyline won't go, and with 5 seconds left, it looks like the Eagles are done. The Eagles' second game playing that has ended in single-digit difference between the 2 scores, and they move to 0-2 in close games this season. The Vikings are now 3-2 in single-digit games The big question for Pleasant Grove, or I guess my big question for you, after the Vikings win 59-51, have they found their closing squad? The last 5 on the court for Pleasant Grove: Guthrie, Anderson, Johansson, Brown, and Windsor. Closed it out pretty well.
Yeah, I think as of right now, yes. But I mean, you never know. A player can improve. You're never at your full potential. So I mean, honestly, you never know. As of right now, I think yes to your question, but maybe later in the season it could change. You just never know.
And maybe that's their closing crew when the Vikings have the lead, and maybe their closing crew when the Vikings have the deficit is a little different, because what I feel like you're missing in that crew is a little bit of the shooting that you get from Ty Palmer specifically. Maybe he's a guy you try to find a spot to slot in if your team is down. Windsor does provide a shot from beyond the arc, as does Johansson and Brown and Anderson specifically. Are all very good shooters, and Guthrie kind of the size guy, but Vikings close it out well today for what ends up becoming a big victory as they move to 5-6 on the season, a chance to get themselves to 500 against an extremely talented Leighton Lancers squad tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's a big game for Pleasant Grove. Lancers, the early favorite in 6A this season. Pleasant Grove kind of riding middle of the pack in the early RPI rankings so far. What did you see from Pleasant Grove today that could provide to be very, very promising for them tomorrow against the Lancers?
The turnovers that they were causing on Skyline. I mean, this game, a lot of their points. Actually, I wouldn't say a lot of their points, but a good amount of their points came from the defensive turnovers that they got. I mean, playing super effective. Those shots can fall. They just got to find their rhythm. You can't let the first shot of your three and miss. Like, if you miss it, you can't let that get in your head. You just got to keep shooting. So I think it's just those threes, especially today. I mean, we saw a lot of really clutch threes that might have saved PG the game, honestly. So I think going into tomorrow's game, you just gotta be confident. You just gotta be able to get those threes and play very good defense.
Vikings get win number 5 on the season, play their final out-of-region game tomorrow. We'll have coverage for you on PGSN. For Zane Grothy, 2 Zanes involved in this one. For Zane Grothy, I'm Alan Judson. We say goodnight from Olympus High School in Salt Lake City, Utah.